Hi class, this is course 2, lesson 68, algebraic addition. Okay, so we're going to learn something a little bit new today, so be attentive, pay attention, and really think through what we're doing. I also want you to show all of your work on the problems. Okay? I need to be able to see what you're doing, and you need to be able to show what you're doing. So that is going to be key. Okay, two problems right here. You know that 7 minus 4 equals 3. And we've talked about adding integers, and you know that 7 plus negative 4 equals 3. Okay, so how do we subtract a 4 from 7 and get 3, and also add a negative 4 to 7 and get 3. Well, these two problems are related. This one is the one that you would know, and this one is the one that illustrates the algebraic addition. Okay, where every time we see a subtraction sign, we are going to think add the opposite. Okay, so just back up here real quick. We saw the subtraction sign, and so we would write this as 7 plus, and then we would put the negative 4 in there. And what this really says is add 7 plus the opposite of 4. Well, the opposite of 4 is negative 4, and so 7 minus 4 would be 3, or 7 plus a negative 4 is 3. Okay, so let's work on this problem down here, which is negative 3 minus a negative 2. Okay, so we see the subtraction sign and we have to think add the opposite. And how we're going to illustrate that is we're going to just leave this negative 3 out here alone. And we're going to put a plus sign, and then we're going to put all of this inside here, inside a bracket. Because all we're doing is we're going to add, there's an addition sign in there, and then we're going to say the opposite of negative 2. Okay, so we're just inserting, let me see if I can show you, right here, we're kind of breaking this in two, and we're going to put a plus sign in there. So it's going to be whatever this is, and then plus the opposite of negative 2. So that's what we're thinking now. We're thinking the opposite of negative 2. Now you know the opposite of negative 2 is just positive 2. So I'm going to write this, we're going to rewrite that now as negative 3 plus the opposite of negative 2 is 2. And you know that negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. Okay, just a couple more problems we're going to walk through, and then you'll have practice time with the practice set. So here's a problem where we have a negative sign outside of a parenthesis just to start the expression. And so we need to deal with this. Okay, it's the opposite of negative 2. Opposite, and then negative 2. Well, what is the opposite of negative 2? It's just 2. And then we see the subtraction right here. So we're going to add the opposite. Now it wasn't inside parentheses, right? So we're going to put a plus sign right here, and then we're going to put the negative 5 in parentheses. Because instead of subtracting, we are going to add the opposite of the number, opposite of 5. Add the opposite of 5, and then we have another subtraction sign, so we're going to add the opposite of the positive 6. Okay, so adding the opposite of 5 is negative 5, so we can do this part. What is 2 plus negative 5? That would be negative 3, plus what is the opposite of positive 6? So the opposite of 6 would be negative 6. So this is going to be plus negative 6, which is going to give us negative 9. Okay, now down here we have negative 1 and 2 tenths, negative 1.2 minus a positive 1.5. Okay, so again, we need to bracket this off and put a plus sign in here. So we're going to do negative 1.2 plus, what is the opposite of a positive 1.5? It's going to be a negative 1.5. So I'm adding the same sign, so I just combine the absolute values, 2.7, and I keep the sign. Okay, so this can get kind of tricky because there's a lot of signs and a lot of parentheses and a lot of things we need to do. Okay, if you just remember that you're adding the opposite, one thing that you can do if you're feeling really comfortable at this point is when you see a subtraction sign, you can change it to a plus sign and then change the sign of the next term. Okay, but not out here. Not here. Okay, in here, fine, but not out there. Up here you had a minus and a minus, so you could change that there because you have a sign that changes the next thing. Okay, I know that this is kind of tricky and it's the first time you're seeing it, and it's okay if it's a little difficult. We'll work through it together. Okay, bring your questions to class. I'll see you then.